After 4 years, I've come to crawl out of my hole. Talk about the only game I talk about. Alright folks, we're here. It's time. It's 4 years later. We are about to hearken upon the release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which sounds like the nasty that comes out after the baby. Gross names aside, it's here. We got the demo in a timely fashion this time, as opposed to the last one when they released it at the stroke of fucking midnight in the middle of a worldwide dead pandemic. But I've played through it and through it. But I done played through it, and now I have some impressions, and I'm going to tell them to you. Not that you haven't seen a million of these already. My voice matters to like maybe 3 people, and so this is for them. And the rest of you, you're just fucking, I don't know, what are you doing here? Now don't get me wrong, I'm glad you're here, but I don't understand it either. So rather than do like I did last time 4 years ago, I did this little bold predictions type situation where I was like breaking down things that I thought might happen, or could happen, or should happen, and most of them didn't happen. This time, I'm going to do a little bit different, because now that I've played through the part of the demo, I am not going to play through the Junin part that has not, as of recording time, come out yet. I've only played the Nibelheim bit, so I don't want to play the Junin bit and spoil myself on whatever happens. Skytown and I will be streaming this over on the Twitchers and here, so I don't want that to just be a boring thing as we're sitting there. Not that it's not normally boring, but this is what we're doing this time after going through the Nibelheim. See, we got some pros and cons. There are things that I really liked about it, and there are things that give me a little pause, because I do have a few concerns that have been brought up just from playing an hour-and-a-half long demo. So we're going to do the negative bits first, because I don't want this to be me just shitting on a game that I'm obviously going to like. It's just, I got a little nitpicky things, and that's what these are. They're all really just minute nitpicky things, because overall, I fucking loved it. So to start off with the comparison between Rebirth and Remake, and don't get me wrong, I don't think Remake is a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's more of a masterpiece in and of itself, if that makes any sense. These are things we're going to get into later, but the level design was pretty bad. There was a lot of really bad pacing issues. There was some weird dialogue type situations. A lot of those are nitpicky things. Well, the dialogue bit is not necessarily you having to walk through a fucking sewer for 8 years. It is a masterpiece in and of its own right, because obviously the fans of Final Fantasy VII are going to like the shit. I mean, there are probably some outliers that hated the changes or don't know where it's going to go, but hey, they fucking warned you. They warned you goddamn 9 years ago when we started all this shit. But one of the biggest takeaways that I took from the demo that's not necessarily a good thing is that there's a big graphical downgrade. And I know graphics don't make the game, but in this case, it's really noticeable. Obviously, the field of view is a lot wider because you have to take in a whole lot more, and it's more than the same 3 people following you around the whole fucking time too. But walking out in the wide shot of Nibelheim as the credits are rolling in the beginning, yeah, it's like really good. It's like really fucking beautiful, and I would argue that it's nicer looking even than 16. But when you get down close to it, there's something that's off. There's a lot of things that just seem like from the PS4 to the PS5, with like textures popping in and foliage popping in. It seems like we would be beyond that, but here we are. And it's evident because the field of view is so wide. And it kind of makes you wonder, did they make this field of view so wide because they're trying to expand the game, that they have to cover a couple of fucking sins? And I know that Remake had like a lot of narrow corridors that you were having to go down, because the whole fucking game was goddamn hallway. In that lies the problem, in that they're trying to sell this game as being more open, but in the demo, it's still a hallway. It's just a much wider hallway. It's very linear, and I understand that it's just the flashback, which, once again, I've said this before, it's my favorite part of the game, the OG game. So obviously I'm gonna like it, but playing through it, and not just because of the context, it really reminded me a lot of Crisis Core, and not in a good way. Crisis Core had a lot of hallways, big open areas, fight. Hallway, big open area, fight. It's like a Final Fantasy XIV fucking raid dungeon. There's literally one big ass room before you go into the reactor that's just a big ass square room with nothing in it. And I know that they're probably just using that as a staging ground, because at some point in the present time of the game, you have to go back to Mount Nebel and go through the reactor again to get to Rocket Town. It's just setting up for some big ass boss fight down the road then, which I think they probably could have come up with a more unique way of doing that other than having you walk through the big ass room in the flashback too. It's just little things like that, the little things that plagued Remake, with the fucking 8-hour long train station segment, and then going through, as soon as you get done with that, you're at the fucking awesome wall market. Now you got to go through the sewer. And I see a lot of this, and a lot of it is completely unnecessary, because while they're trying to make the scope seem bigger, you're still being carted along a path. Some of the environments, especially when you get to the reactor, they're just really plain, and there's a lot of just nothing burger happening. It's a lot of cookie cutter kind of asset swap flips that it just seems out of place, and it doesn't seem like it had the fucking care that was taken. Like, I know they're having to make a bigger game. I get it. The game is way bigger, which is another fear that I have, which, like I said, we're going to do that later. But I think when they had something more focused just with Midgar, like we know that we're not leaving Midgar, I think there was a lot more time and care put into making Midgar its own thing. This just seemed like, I don't know, like the crags of Mount Nebel, yes, that looked fucking spot on and awesome. But everything on the inside of the egg, if you will, not the hard shelly bits, it was just kind of Unreal Engine 4. And I'm not like a technical mastermind. I don't know how to fucking do this shit. Just from the layperson, just watching it, it's just, this is kind of just sparse. And the same thing can be said for the town too, for Nibelheim itself. From the outside, it looks great. It looks amazing. But then you go into the town hall, then you go into some buildings, then you go into Tifa's house, and like everything's really low resolution, and it's just too big. I feel like someone at some point had a slider where they were like, make the environments 25% too big, and they forgot to turn it off. That's what it seems like, because why in the blue fuck is the town hall that wide and that big and that empty? And you just don't do anything in them. You just walk in there and just explore for a bit, but then you realize the picture hanging on the wall is the same one hanging in Tifa's house. And the other minor gripe that I have is there's a lot of weird like rubber banding going on, and I don't remember, it's been a minute. I might need to just, I plan on playing through Remake at some point if I have some free time. Can you make me some? Because I sure can't. The two instances that I can remember that comes to mind, one minor was when you're walking up the mountain, and then at some point, if you get so far ahead, then at like Tifa and Sephiroth and the two guards have to catch up, and they just like warp speed over there. And of course, it didn't fucking happen in the recording that I did, but I've played through this thing like 1,000 times. I'm a little embarrassed. And the other big one is when the NPCs of the townspeople are going to Shinra Manor to see what's going on with old Seven Moths. And then like they can't fucking proceed unless Cloud steps up a few feet, and then they go up a few feet. And if you just stand there and they're just looking around, then they're just standing there. It's kind of weird and immersion breaking. Is that the term the kids use? It's just weird. Like I said, I just don't remember seeing any of that in the remake that I can recall. There might have been some, but I'm looking at it with rose tinted glasses, obviously. Mako tinted glasses. Now that is to say, friends, I know I sound like a crabby bastard, but goddammit, I love the fucking Nibelheim thing. I think that the biggest standout pro of the game are these fucking character models. They're like Disney quality. And I ain't talking about the Disney of today, by golly. I'm talking about the good shit. Their reactions, their emotions, you could tell a lot of effort went into just making those, which can also lead to why maybe the backgrounds were maybe a little little bit secondary, but the little moments, the handcrafted moments of just character development that you don't even like have any action happening. Just Cloud sitting on top of the water tower and just looking into Tifa's house, and you can tell that like the avatar of Cloud in this story is just sitting there thinking, what happened next? I don't remember. Oh, this happened next. Like, there's that moment of hesitation where you can tell that Cloud is an unreliable narrator, is expressed in the Cloud that's actually in the unreliable narration. And also, they went a long way to try to explain the whole Genova thing with Sephiroth in the library of the mansion, which they did not do a very good job of translating in the original game, which led to a lot of people being confused about lots of stuff. They did it much better with this, and Sephiroth basically did it, fucking slap you upside the head. This is what actually happened. But it's also entertaining at the same time, because they didn't do what I'm fucking glad they didn't do, and that's try to humanize Sephiroth even more. I know that the trend is that we have to like make the bad guys sympathetic, and Sephiroth is sympathetic to an extent, but it's also just badass that he's just a dick to be a dick. And they can do that without bludgeoning over your face that this is supposed to be, oh, he's Sephiroth, this is he had a tragic upbringing. Like him standing there talking to Cloud about everything, and like you can tell that he's in his evil maniacal mode, and then he just like snaps out of it, and like you can see in his face in the character model that he has this moment of pause where he's just, what am I saying? And he's fucking crying. Sephiroth crying about his past, like realizing it, that's like fucking heartbreaking. But then, like, at the same time, as he's crying, he's also, you can tell, rationalizing why I need to burn this fucking town down. It's really good storytelling, and you can see the seeds being planted for those that know the twist at the middle of the game, that with the guard and everything, like the guard being there and Cloud also being in the same place. Cloud has never seen the movie Backdraft either. And then you got the twist with the line from Sephiroth in the original that was actually said by his mother, which I called, which that's not very special. A lot of people did. The other pro about it is the music. In Remake, they did a lot of deviation with the music. Like they put music and themes in places that they weren't supposed to be yet because you already knew the themes. But in this one, it's like one-to-one the music choices from the original game, and I think they did that on purpose. The background story of Cloud making up this fake history doesn't change as much as everything else in the game is changing. So it should be the same. It should be familiar. It should be the exact same story that you heard, 1996 when the game came out. But did the demo do its due diligence? Yes. I'm fucking hype about this. I do have some worries, but I have a lot more hope than I have worry. I say that until I start rolling. And then we know the effluvia that comes out of my crabby ass. So that's what we're going to do next time. Next time, I'm going to change fucking shirts. I'm going to sit back here. It's going to seem like it was a day or 3, but it's really 20 minutes. But in the next video, we're going to talk about what I hope is going to happen in this game, and how, like, my actual, not just what I hope is going to happen, but my hopes for the game itself, and then a couple of worries. Are these problems going to be extrapolated into this? That's what basically it's going to be about. We're going to cut this one off now, so I can go hit that closet, baby. Until then, if you haven't, subscribe so you'll know when it comes up. Please, I'd appreciate it more than you fucking know. Really, I would appreciate it. Once again, I don't say it enough. I do love you, even though I don't know you. They're gonna make a rom-com out of us. Ryan Gosling would play me, but motherfucker ain't pretty enough.